After the East Area rapist would terrorize these women, sometimes he would call them and taunt them.
Hello? Hello?
This rapist did not stop with just the assault of that night. He terrorized them their whole lives.
This is that psychological sadist at work. He is getting off on continuing to cause fear in his victim.
I'm Michelle McNamara of TrueCrimeDiary.com. Larry Crompton is a retired lieutenant for the Contra Costa Sheriff's Department. He worked on the Rapist Task Force in the 70s.
How optimistic are you that he may be caught one day?
Very, very optimistic.
I had worked many crimes while I was on the department, but none of them were really like this. I knew what these people went through, and I knew what the family was going through. I couldn't let it go. And for many years, it was me. What did I miss? What did I do wrong? Why didn't I catch him?
Helicopters, roadblocks, citizen patrols taking down plate numbers, hypnotists, psychics, nothing. You were a scent and shoe impressions. Bloodhounds and detectives tracked both. They led away. They led nowhere.
He next shows up down in Modesto in June of 1978. He attacks a couple down there. And then 48 hours later, he's up in the town of Davis, over 110 driving miles away, and is attacking a UC Davis co-ed there.
Early Wednesday morning, the infamous masked man made his 44th attack on a young couple living in Mission, San Jose.
It was as if he knew what police were doing. And all along, many of the detectives who were working the case thought that maybe he was a police officer or military. And ultimately, that turned out to be true.
You should have seen me coming.
One of the things that's important to remember when you're looking at Joseph DeAngelo is he actually graduated with an associate degree in police science.
He had told Bonnie that his aspiration was to join the California Highway Patrol.
You should have seen me coming.
He studied evidence and he studied crime scene.
He went to Northern California, and he applied with the Auburn Police Department and was hired there. And then that's when he started his rapes.
He actually started out committing crimes as a teenager. At some point, he even blew up a dog with a firework, killed the dog while he was committing a residential burglary.
You should have seen me coming.
It makes sense that somebody who has a need for control, wants to be in power, would be attracted to a position that allows him to have that every single day.
When I was working the cases, I thought, he's got to be in law enforcement.
The first clue was in attack number 3 in Sacramento. He had gloves on to protect from fingerprints, and he's got a gun in one hand and a padded baton in another hand. And he says, "Freeze or I'll shoot."
We felt so strongly that he could have a law enforcement background that we were looking at every officer in our department who fit the description of the height and the weight and the shoe size.
Up to that point, he would sometimes take his clothes off during a sexual assault. Carol and I figured out how to fingerprint the human body.
We found out that fingerprints stayed on the skin for really just a very short period of time, but there was an iodine technique that we could use to try to pull them off.
Carol, they talked to the guy in charge and said, don't talk about this on the radio. They blasted it all over the place. Just a couple of days later, his gloves never came off. There's no question he knew what we were doing.
The police have one last bit of advice, and that is don't panic, because that alters your judgment. And by the way, that advice goes out to anyone in the Bay Area, not just the people of Concord, because with this guy, the next rape could be anywhere.
Michelle was a mother and she was a wife. And when she took this book on, this investigation became her life. It's really, the obsession is with the investigation.
And she knew that when you look at cases out there, famous serial killer cases, they were caught with innocuous things.
He was, first and foremost, it seems to me, a burglar, a cat burglar.
I think Michelle felt that if she could find one of the items that had been stolen in any of those rapes or in any of those burglaries, she could trace that item back the way you would trace someone's ancestry to its original owner. And that would lead to the offender's identity. And in one case, this offender stole a pair of personalized monogrammed cufflinks.
It was the initials NR. They were like a 1950s style. So Michelle took this and thought, if I could follow those pair of cufflinks, we might get closer to the answer.
Then I saw it, a single image out of hundreds loading on my laptop screen. They were going for $8 at a vintage store in a small town in Oregon. My husband was on his side sleeping. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at him until he opened his eyes. I think I found him, I said.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.